Black Witch Chronicles is on the air.
Mercury retrograde, summer solstice, magic.
Ain't it though? I mean, come on, we're in the height of chaotic magic. And you're here with Lakeesha Harris of Sojourner's Healing Room. So Sojourner's Healing Room kind of derived out of the work that I do at Chicago Women's Health Center, and the work that I was doing with Dr. G Love in New Orleans as a Reiki practitioner. So it's a traveling healing space that is for oppressed bodies everywhere. It's donation based. I do herbal healing baths, Reiki, and just work my overall genuine black magic, black woman magic to
That's
heal
right.
the people in the hood. You know, no one is turned away for care and for services. And Dr. G Love, introduce yourself, boo.
Hey, this is Dr. G Love, Five Directions Wellness, also known as Geryll Robinson. And I'm just like really into getting right into this conversation. Like, part of me wants to say, Five Directions Wellness has been a beautiful part of the landscape of healing, wellness, and overall being in New Orleans, but around the country actually. And really working with leaders and social justice people and healers and growing together with my peers and sort of using my skills as a natural medicine doctor and nutritional counselor, a person who does spinal alignment as a naturopath, and energy work all together into one modality that just really brings a lot of ease and transformation and movement into the people's lives. So, that's the background that I'm coming from, and Keisha is a part of Five Directions Wellness as well, and we worked together last year on some wonderful projects and magic, including that incredible 12/21/12 ceremony that we held.
Right, right.
Um,
Wasn't that magical?
we had quite a portal, and ever since then, the energies are just really, really all about change. They really are.
And here we are in this like Mercury retrograde energy, right?
Yeah. And it's,
Chaotic change for a lot of people right now.
well, that was what I'm saying. That prophecy right there, that they left that for us so we could be prepared. They were like, look, this is going to make an impact. So we want to make sure this survives, all the pillaging and all the inquisitioning and everything. Don't worry about this. This is going to survive. So that when everything accelerates and everything, you have to surrender, 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 let go of so many things because change is upon you. And so to get new, you have to give something to get something all the time. I finally learned that. You got to give something to get something. And
Right.
this shift is going to cause a lot of disruption. And, according to the Pleiadian Council, this is really going to just keep on trucking this intense, escalating energy of shift, really intensifying through like 2017, um, really in it. And it's a global thing, so it's big, right? I mean, it's just everybody's feeling it.
Right. And people have to be ready for that big shift. Do what you can to have your feet firmly on the ground, and if it's not firmly on the ground, be okay with the shifts. Be okay with riding the waves through this whole thing.
The number one thing that comes to my mind for that is support. If
Definitely. Let's talk about
you
support.
do that,
Yes, let's talk about support.
we have.
Because I mean, not I don't know everything about support. I'm learning, growing in that support area. Um,
The support area.
the support area. Shit, I can't support
Oh, but
myself half the time.
the Black Witch Chronicles, I don't need support. Yes. Let's talk about the support area, Keisha. It's not easy to receive support, you know. But we have a supportive community. I mean, that's why we're here because we're reaching out to the bigger community. Our community is so supportive. I mean, we look out for each other. I mean, I've been able to live my whole life off of just like open sliding scale to barter to free to whatever. It's like whatever. No one's getting turned away, and everything has flown. You know, it's just people brought me clothes, people dressed me, people made sure I had my yoga, people came over to
Right,
get my laundry, clean, like whatever. Like just maintain. It was just such a the relationship that I've been having with my community in New Orleans and beyond, though. Really, Chicago, huge relationship like this in Chicago as well. Uh,
right,
you know, to some extent in New York and to some extent also in the Bay Area. This real sense of like deep reciprocity, you know, working in sacred reciprocity. That's the catch-all word I like to use. It has a good resonance. Aini, which is sacred reciprocity. You know, I like that there's a language that has a word for sacred reciprocity. So,
right. Well, a lot of people. So let's talk about that because support comes in so many different ways, and for so long, people think that it's just a monetary thing. Like we're in this very colonized mindset that support looks a certain type of way, and there's so many facets of supporting someone through a great transition like this. You've mentioned the barter system, the not turning someone away for help and assistance through your practice. Uh, Same thing that it goes on at Chicago Women's Health Center where I work. Same thing with Sojourner's Room. Um, we have to switch this into this. Everybody keeps saying new paradigm. Actually, we're doing some Sankofa shit. We're going back and fetching some of our roots because that's what has been, that historically what it was. Only the white folks, I feel like a lot of white folks is like new paradigm. No, that's new paradigm for y'all asses. We've been doing this shit.
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's what I always tell people because people want to say, "Oh, you new age," or I don't know. They want to ask all kind of questions, and they only have so many templates to work with. And I understand that that's what people are saying, like, "Oh, is this a hippie thing or is this a new age thing?" I said, "No, I'm really old fashioned. Everything that I do is just really old fashioned. I just do
Right.
it that way, and that way it's kind of easy because the old way is there. Now, I'm not. I'm a very contemporary. I think I'm like a contemporary urban shaman more so than like you know olden days mind because it's a completely different zone out here and all the frequencies are different. But still living in harmony with the planet and thinking of the next 7 generations and understanding that there's a multidimensional reality and uh, really also seeing the value and striving toward peace and dealing for me land reclamation. That's my political thing that comes out of that. It's just my strong strong feelings about the earth and carved up like this and just madness. You can get they have regulations on rainwater in some places.
Right, right. How much you can collect it,
Yeah.
when you can collect it. That's some foolishness right there. That's that's next thing you know they're gonna have. You can only have so much air and oxygen in your lungs before we tax and penalize you.
Right, and so that's why I'm really into moving towards sharing and a whole new version of abundance. It doesn't mean money. It doesn't, we're always going to be competitive. It's in the human nature. We're always going to have games and we're going to compete. There's this real fear of like, yeah, you want to just rob the country and destroy it, and see it all fall to pieces. That's what the big shift has to look like because right now the military is what's considered to be what maintains the safety and security of our country.
Right.
I don't really feel like parsing words too much unless you do about what I mean by safety and security. Just overall, that's the general design of the military, if you agree with it or not. It's what the powers that be are dealing with. That's our defense. So that takes up a lot of money. So for us to change that whole money thing for them and get old-fashioned on them, hard because then they're like, oh, we won't have any defense, and then we'll be overrun by these other greedy outsiders because not everybody wants to be nice and share.
Right.
So, you know,
Well, you know, you talked about, and that's part of the whole like land reclamation. And I want to talk about bodies as land reclamation.
I'll show.
I'm currently writing a blog post that I'm going to post tomorrow about vaginal gazing, vulva gazing, looking at so many women that come into the center have not even looked at their vagina. Like they haven't seen it, they haven't touched it, they don't want to smell it, but yet we'll give it as an offering to someone else. You know, essentially when we're having sex, we're offering up our bodies, our land to someone else. We shave it, we do all kinds of things to it, but we don't want to reclaim it as our own. So I'm talking about like land reclamation or body reclamation. Let's talk about that.
I love it, reclaiming the female body. Like that's support, you know. That's an example of support, you know, because it's so empowering to do that. You know, the more I feel I reclaim my body, I have access to emotional states that I haven't had access to as I continue to slowly reclaim my body, you know, because I have a lot of resistance to that. Like in this really 3D version of myself, I really feel the sort of colonized entity on my body and have always had to work through it. You know, it's been one of the challenges of my life. And so as I reclaim each little piece by piece, something opens up like this. And just the meridian opens. There's place in the heart chakra. There's just overall opening that can make me more grounded and aware of what's going on. So less blinders that are for me protection against, you know, outside dissonance that's going to throw me too much. And
Right.
those are kind of like, you know, whenever I reclaim something else on my body, I find
Right. Right. A hair. Reclaim. Let's start at the follicle of the hair. Let's reclaim the hair. Let's reclaim our eyes and our vision and our shoulders and our rolls, our fat rolls. Let's reclaim our breasts and all of these things. Let's start from the top of the head and start to just reclaim little pieces of ourselves and be empowered in that way.
Because you know what? Not everybody's ready to do the vulva gazing. But I say for the sisters who are, get to it. They had a special on Orange is the New Black. I mean, I just got to bring up a popular reference, so I'll do it, where they went around and looked at their vulvas.
Right. 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 And that's some old school stuff because Mama Di was like when I was talking about like women smelling their vaginas when I was on Facebook, and she was like, yes, let's take it back to the circle of women, feminists who were taking out their mirrors and like, let's look at the vaginas in the 50s and the 60s.
So the 70s, yep, they had it going on.
They had it going on.
And they did. They had a politic of reclamation that was really nice, you know, and unfortunately, we like to think that we're past that, but we're not. You know, the female body is still so commodified, and I think a lot of us are really, you know, filled with a lot of shame. There's been a lot of assault and rape and just sexual harassment, you know, constant sexual harassment.
Girl.
Especially if we live in, you know, cities like us. I mean, for me, my life is just, sexual harassment is part of my life. It's one of the steadies when I'm in a city, you know?
Yep. This morning, like, you know, how do you assume that, you know, you ask somebody you don't know on the street, can I go with you? Especially, you know, after trying to berate them. I'm talking about my experience this morning with the guy down the street, you know, and then can I go with you? Assuming that, like, I'm going to say yes and just drop my drawers right there in the middle of the street. But this is what women have been going through for so long. The assumption that there is ownership over any part of our body.
Yeah, but you know, it's not, sometimes for me, it's not even that I'm giving it away, it's that I'm protecting it. Because I can't do anything about that assumption. Believe me, I've tried. I've like, okay, I'm gonna cuss them out. Okay, I'm gonna ignore them. Okay, I'm gonna be friendly and nice. Like, you know, over the years, you try every damn possible way of interfacing.
Right, right.
That's gonna happen. Oh, I'm waiting on the train. Oh, look who's coming my way. Ugh. So at the end of the day, only thing I've been able to come up with in this lifetime of, for me, really overt sexual harassment, was to just make it okay. So that meant I had to build shields around me. Otherwise, my life would be disrupted. So it started to just become something that I learned to live with from about the age of, you know, really kicked in good at the age of 14, but it started around 12 because I was real big in size. By 12, I really grew up way taller than all the other kids, so I looked a lot older. And
Mm.
when I talk about reclaiming my body, I talk about those boundaries coming off. But a lot of these boundaries for me have been really strong allies. Like I've really needed this armor to get around.
Hmm.
So I
Right.
numbed myself to my own existence, unfortunately. What you have to give something to get something. So you know what I had to give is a real sense of, you know, just sensual loveliness in my life. It just slowly fed on itself.
Mm. And now it's hard, like peeling back those layers. For me, like you talked about being taller and bigger than everybody else. For me, it was like having breasts at 8, having my period at 9, and having to feel shame that I have these big breasts at 9 years old, and nobody in the 4th grade had breasts, but here I was with breasts and my period, and having to go and change tampon, or not tampons but pads, um, and you know, being very ashamed of that, which
Mhm.
is such a rite of passage that I should not have been, you know, ashamed of. But nobody talks about breasts in the 4th grade, or like what little girls are going through. Like this change is assumed that, oh, a girl doesn't have her menstrual cycle until she's 14 or later, you know, and that young girls aren't ready for a conversation about their bodies or their reproductive system, or they're not ready to claim that as their own, when they should be learning to claim that from the womb.
Well, that's another good piece of support right there. That's the support that I've offered inside of my community. Is sometimes the friend of mine says, you know what, she don't want to hear nothing I have to say because it's that adolescent period where daughter's fighting with mommy. And so I'll come in and I say, you know, I'll give the sex talk because I'm good with teenagers. So
Hmm.
I've given my goddess daughters the sex talk on behalf of, you know, I'm not saying their parents don't have to do it at all, but the really in-depth, hardcore, serious sexual awareness. It's great if you know that you're a person who can provide that, to offer that to your friends, or you know, your brothers and sisters, for your nieces and nephews, because not everybody's comfortable doing that, and you want the child to really come into their sexuality with the comfortable members of the society. So once we start thinking of our communities as societies, some of us are better at different things. Some people can't get along with teenagers. I love teenagers. That's a, you know, a gift, obviously, but I commune with them. You know, it's my arrested development. So that's a beautiful way of support right there. You have so much to share with us with, you know, really getting in touch with our body, reclaiming this land, and really being so present with that process. Working at Chicago Women's Health Center, Health Clinic, it's just like what we need. It's real, that's on the ground evolutionary work right
Yeah, everything that we're doing right here is this conversation we're having, evolutionary work, honey. The Black Witch Chronicles. Y'all better get up on this Black Witch Chronicles.
there. Yeah.
And with that, we're going to say peace out. We love y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Happy solstice.
Happy solstice.